Folks, welcome back to the channel. The week off is finally over. We've got UFC Kansas City this weekend. And yes, before you ask, Pick'em and I will be doing a live stream for the PFL as well. But without any more wasted time, let's jump into the fights. Links are in the description. I'll see you in the first matchup that is for now scheduled for 135 pounds. Chelsea Chandler takes on Joselyne Edwards. Now, both of these ladies tend to miss weight. So, you know, weight class be darned, right? Okay, so both of them are 3-2 in their last 5 fights. That's arguable, because we've had some rough decisions here, but let's break this one down. For Joselyne Edwards, obviously the UFC level experience as well as just fight experience in general is going to be way higher, so there is something to note. In the striking, she's going to be much better. She's a good striker at range. Her kicks at range are solid. The front kick down the middle, I think, is going to be something she has a ton of success with, and she's going to have some good volume here. Grappling, it's coming along, right? She's decent. Her takedown defense is decent now. It was terrible before. It's decent now. She even showed the ability to sweep an opponent in, 2 fights ago, maybe? So there you go. And if she gets on top, she does have decent top control. Edwards is actually going to be the better fighter everywhere here, but Chelsea Chandler has a couple things going for her. She's strong. I'm being generous. Decent striker. She's strong. And she comes forward most of the time, unless she's running away. But she comes forward. Decent grappling. If she gets on top, she's strong. Honestly, though, I know everybody's saying, the line's wide, dog or pass. I feel like Joselyne Edwards is a side, though. She should be better everywhere, other than just being strong. And even then, she's a strong girl in her own right. Chelsea Chandler has a couple of things going for her, and that's mostly her physicality and the fact that she's going to miss weight. But then again, so probably will Joselyne Edwards. I don't know why they didn't just book this one at a catch weight at this point, but here we go. For me, watch both of them come in on weight. That'd be wild. I think Joselyne Edwards should win this fight pretty comfortably. I think she's going to front kick the heck out of Chelsea Chandler as she tries to just bulldog her way forward, because that's what she can do. And she's going to eat a lot of front kicks, walk right into him like she's walking into a spear. And Edwards is going to have a lot of success. She's going to start throwing the hands as she's got Chandler going, oh no, I got to get my hands lower to block these front kicks. And she's going to start getting pieced up. I think Edwards should win this one pretty comfortably. Maybe I'm crazy, but let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next one. We got a featherweight matchup next between TImmy Cuamba and Roberto Romero. Both of these guys are 3-2 in their last 5 fights. And for Roberto Romero, that's where we're going to start. He's got good striking, good forward pressure, and he keeps that high guard. He's going to come in and start using this jab, and he kind of really gets down into that jab like so when he does it. And then as he starts getting his way, getting his range, he'll start throwing in some combinations. And one thing I really like about his combinations is he mixes up his levels in combination. So he'll be throwing high shots to the head, right? But he'll also come down low to the body, come back up to the head. So you don't see everybody do. It sounds basic. You're like, oh, doesn't everybody do that? But if you watch, they don't. A lot of people, they laser focused on head hunting. Roberto Romero, he'll mix up his combinations, or mix up his levels in combination. So that's something I like. Grappling side. So from here, he's got a good cage push. He does really good dirty boxing up against the cage. Will makes knees, start hitting knees to the thigh immediately, and then he'll start working those body shots, come back up to the head, throwing some elbows, things like that. So he does a good job at mixing in the dirty boxing there. He's also really tough to hold down. So when guys do take him down, he's kind of a nightmare of a guy to like flatten out and then just control. Really good about bouncing back to his feet or using the cage to get back up. On the other side, TImmy Cuamba. He's a good striker as well. Now, for him, the body kick is one of his best weapons. He's got a really good body kick, and then as he starts to have success with the body kick, that's when he'll start mixing up the levels on that kick and start, trying to land to the legs, land to the head, things like that. Does a good job with it. He's got a really fast 1-2 as well, so that's something you like to see. In the wrestling, he has really good takedowns and mat returns, but he also seems to struggle to hold people down. So being hard to hold down for Romero, hard to hold people down for Cuamba, I feel like we're going to get a lot of striking in this matchup. It's going to be a good one. This is a tough fight to pick because we don't really know. I mean, this is his second fight in the UFC. His first fight, he took the fight on like a couple of days' notice, so you can't really fault him there. But he looked good, in a loss, and you know how that works. It's a tricky one. For me, I'm going to side with Romero because I do think he's going to be able to start a little faster in this one. I think he's going to be able to win that first round at a pretty high clip. And if you give me somebody that I think is going to win the first round at a high clip, that already knocks out one of the rounds. So we're going to take Roberto Romero. I think it's a tough fight. It's a close fight, but we're going with Romero here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Strawweight's next. Jaqueline Amorim takes on Polyana Viana. Viana is 2-3 in the last 5, 4-1 for Amorim. Now, this is an interesting matchup because they're very similar stylistically. For Polyana Viana, decent striking. She has good forward pressure. Decent power. That's it. But she is a jiu-jitsu player most of the way through in the game. So good jiu-jitsu, very active from her back. She'll attack submissions, but she is content on her back. Now, when you look at Jaqueline Amorim, very similar. Decent striker, forward pressure. She's got good power, but she's a bit wild on the feet. Solid grappler, good submission arsenal. She's aggressively attacking subs. The difference is she's looking for those takedowns a little bit more, and when she gets on top, she'll use the ground and pound a little bit more. This should be cut and dry. It's basically Jaqueline Amorim is the evolution of Polyana Viana as far as skill sets go. There's another level beyond that where you take this skill set and polish it up a bit, sure, but I think Amorim should be able to get this one done at a pretty decent clip because she has all of the skills that Viana has, but just a little bit better. So it makes sense. I understand why she's a big favorite. Is the line wide? Maybe. I don't know, but she probably wins. So we're going to take Jaqueline Amorim to get this one done. Let me know what you think. One of the closer line fights on the card. We're in the bantamweight division where Malcolm Wellmaker makes his UFC debut against Cameron Saaiman, who hasn't fought in quite some time, about a little over a year, I'd say. Coming off a couple of losses there, but 2 step-ups in competition from the guys he was beating before. So for Saaiman, he's 3-2 in his last 5. Like I said, he's still young. He's like 24-ish or something like that. I had it written down. Can't remember off the top of my head, but he's like 24-ish, maybe 25, something like that. So young guy, had a couple of losses, took some time off to reset, get some stuff figured out. I think he had a couple of little injuries in there, nothing too crazy from my understanding. On the other side, Malcolm Wellmaker, 8-0, 5-0 in the last 5, undefeated prospect making his UFC debut. Now, those have been some things that lately, the year of 2025, have been a problem. Undefeated fighters and debuts have had a lot of trouble. So that's something to keep in mind on the Malcolm Wellmaker side. I understand that each fight is individual and whatever, but the trend is there. And, you know, like Yanni the Greek says about trends, I don't know, it just depends on which way he wants to go. So he kind of, either the trend is your friend or the trend has to end at some point. I don't know. It depends. Whatever. But don't listen to that advice. That's wild stuff. Or maybe do. I don't know. Maybe do. Either way, Malcolm Wellmaker. Here's what we got. Dude's a solid striker. Honestly, there's a lot to like about his striking. There's one thing I don't so much like, but there's a lot to like. He's got a good rangy jab, works the body super well, tons of power. This dude can shut your lights off, no problem. If he can X flush, you're probably hitting the deck. Dude's got really good elbows in tight, so as his opponents try to get out of that rangy jab and come in to fight in the pocket with him, he's going to slam those elbows and do a really good job there. Picks his shots. The counter striking is there. This is the one thing I don't so much like is that can result in low volume because he's really trying to pick his shots and land that power shot. And a lot of times, I'm not saying that that's going to happen to him here. I'm just saying that a lot of times when you're trying to land that knockout shot, you end up losing the decision. I do think that is a possibility here. So keep that in mind. His volume can be lower if he's not landing that kill shot because, I mean, if you're looking for the kill shot and the other guy's just peppering you with, you know, leg kicks and little jabs and getting out of range, you can end up losing on the scorecard. So it's just something to keep in mind. He's a good wrestler as well. Takedown defense is there. Super hard to hold down. He can mix in his own takedowns if he needs to, and he does have pretty good top control when he does. Now, he's fighting Cameron Saaiman. Now, like I said, this guy's taking about a year off. You got to assume that he's improving. Kid's like 24, 25, like I said. He's got to be improving at this point. Young guy, doing his thing. But this is from what we saw in his run prior to this layoff. I assume he's better than this. Maybe not, but I assume he is. He's a good striker. He's got volume. He's got pretty good power. I mean, not compared to Wellmaker. Wellmaker hits way hard, but he's got pretty good power. He's got a good leg kick, and he'll use it to accumulation. He'll just keep touching that leg, keep touching the leg, keep touching the leg, and then starts to add up. You know, the volume. Like I said, dude can win a fight just like leg kicking you and jabbing you and staying at range if he wants to do that. He's got good combinations. His knees up the middle. I like those a lot. Here's the big problem for him. We had the problem over here, the lower volume. Problem for Saaiman, open to counters, which is what Wellmaker's good at. He's open to counters. He'll stick around after he throws a combination. He'll come in, he'll step in, land that really nice combination, and then just kind of get caught like a deer in the headlights and then just get put down. Or not put down. I mean, the guy is tough. Dude's tough. Durable guy. Good grappler. He will mix takedowns in with his striking exchanges. So say this is the time he doesn't stick around. Say he comes in, lands his shot or whatever in his combination, and then he says, cool, going for the takedown. That's his best bet here. Even if he doesn't get the takedown, if he starts doing stuff like that, he can avoid that powerful counter shot at the end of the combo. That's something that Saaiman's going to want to do. Great scrambles. He has really good pace, really good cardio. Those are the things that I think that in this fight, if he wants to win, he needs to use. Keep the pace up. work the volume and just try not to get knocked out. Another thing that goes for Saaiman, this could be good or bad. It's probably going to be good for the simple fact that the refs just don't take points. Dude's a dirty fighter. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what he says. I know he says he's not a dirty fighter and it's all just accidents or whatever. Dude's a dirty fighter. This dude fouls everybody he fights. So that, you know, if say Saaiman goes out there and in the first minute he pokes Wellmaker in the eye, accident or not, Wellmaker now has a compromised eye the entire fight. And when you got one eye that's all blurry, your depth perception's off. Your counter-striking is going to be off. If the other guy's going to have more volume anyway, you got trouble. I'm just throwing out crazy stuff here. And I'm doing that because I already know the reaction. I'm going to take Cameron Saaiman because everybody loves Malcolm Wellmaker. MMA Twitter is the biggest fan of Wellmaker. I'm a big fan of Wellmaker. I don't think that his UFC debut against a guy like Saaiman is a spot that I want to take him as a favorite. I've got to take Cameron Saaiman. With that said, I am kind of just trying to soften the blow because I know the outrage I'm going to get in the comments section. And a lot of people really like Wellmaker. I wish him the best. I hope he has a really good UFC career. I think this is going to be a tough one for him. I think Saaiman's going to probably do just enough to get the win on the scorecards. But let me know what you think. Whatever you got to say. I'll see you in the bantamweight division. Blackshear takes on Alatengheili. Both guys have 3 wins in their last 5. The only difference is the draw on the Alatengheili side. We're going to start over there. Alatengheili is a good striker. He's got a decent amount of power, and he's got pretty good counter-striking abilities. But sometimes he can be caught waiting on the feet and kind of looking for those counters a little too much. He also doesn't handle pressure super well. In the grappling department, he's decent there. He's got pretty good top control if he can get on top, and he will mix in the takedowns. But the problem is, he's one of those guys that you can't really count on his wrestling at a high level, at the UFC level that is. But he does have decent takedowns and decent top control, so he can use it. I think that's a horrible idea in this matchup, though, because he's fighting Blackshear. Now, Blackshear, although he's a good striker, pretty good power, picks his shots well, got a really good knee. The thing is, Blackshear is a much better grappler, and I should bump that up to solid grappler. I don't know why I still have it listed as good. That's an error on my part. Dude's a good grappler, solid grappler, I would say. Large toolbox. He's got a really good choke arsenal. The takedowns are there. The back control's there. Good top pressure. He's the type of guy that if he gets on top of you, those elbows are coming down. He's going to be putting the hurt on you. If he gets this to the mat, Blackshear, regardless of whether he's taken down or if he gets the takedown, he's probably closing this fight out. So I've got to take Blackshear here. I think there's a reason he's a big favorite. He should be a big favorite. So we're taking Blackshear. Let me know what you guys think. And a matchup we've talked about once before on the channel. It's the featherweight division. John Castaneda takes on Chris Gutierrez. Before, it was going to be a kind of hodgepodge, thrown together, late notice fight for both of these guys. But now we've got it scheduled. It's a little bit better. Fell out the first time. Here we go. So both these guys are 3-2 in their last 5. Very similar records between the two. So I do like that. It's a good way to match make on those guys that you're really not sure where to put them in the division. So for John Castaneda, he's a good striker with good forward pressure and a ton of volume. His wild style makes him kind of unpredictable and hard to work with. He's got kind of interesting movement on the feet. Punches and kicks are going to come from odd angles because the way he's kind of moving around doing his thing. So that's something that you like to see from Castaneda to mix that up. But he also is really good wrestling because he mixes those takedowns in with his strikes. It's not like he's the best wrestler technically in comparison to some of the other really solid wrestlers in the division, but he does have the ability to mix the takedowns with his strikes, which not every wrestler can do. And he also has really good scrambling ability and an excellent arm triangle. In fact, if he's getting the sub, the arm triangle is typically what it is. Now, on the other side, Chris Gutierrez, pretty much a pure striker. Like, he's got decent takedown defense, but once he gets taken down, he can be flattened out and held there. But he does have pretty good, ability to keep it on the feet initially. It's the striking where he excels. Dude has one of the nastiest leg kicks in the UFC. Now, everybody says that to the point that it becomes kind of almost, something you ignore at this point because, everybody always says that, whatever. But it's true. The dude has a very nasty leg kick. He has won fights via leg kick before. That's pretty impressive. Most people aren't doing that. He's got really good volume on the feet most of the time. A little more power than you expect him to have. Good counters, really good control of the range. He'll feint really well. His striking defense is actually pretty solid because he doesn't get hit super often. He's really good about getting just out of range, doing what he needs to do. And that a lot of that comes from that controlling of the range and feinting to set up his strikes and then making it so opponents will kind of abandon their strike and he can throw his back. So all that to be said, what I think this looks like is we're going to see Gutierrez go into the leg kicks early. We're going to see Castaneda moving around, doing his thing, landing some shots early. But I think as the fight goes on, the movement's going to slow from Castaneda. Gutierrez is going to land the leg kicks, and then he's going to start piecing him up with the hands. And I think the striking overall from Gutierrez is going to be what's going to win him the fight on the scorecards. It's a competitive fight. It's a close fight, and I think that's what we're going to see here. But I'm going to take Chris Gutierrez to get this one done. I think he's going to slow down the movement of Castaneda. I think he's going to be able to land those leg kicks and then get his hands going, and that's how I see it going. Let me know what you think. We got a matchup that I believe is still slated for 155 pounds. Evan Elder now is a new opponent in Gage Young. If you don't know why the fight fell out, feel free to check on Twitter. It's all over there. Real messed up stuff, but we're going to cover the fight, not the drama today. So Gage Young is a guy who was on the Contender Series and fought Quillen Salkilde in a very competitive fight. We all have seen how Salkilde has looked thus far in the UFC in his lone fight, and he looked really well. So it, looked like he really knew what he was doing. So Gage Young's performance on the Contender Series was a good look. The dude is 4-1 in his last 5. That one loss being the Salkilde fight. 9-2 on the career. It's a good record. The guy comes in on super short notice here. Lots of skills for a regional guy coming into the UFC. Lots of potential in the UFC. Really short notice. So that's something we're going to have to look into. He's fighting Evan Elder, who was already slated to be on this card, had a layup of a fight for him. He was going to win that one easily. Maybe not easily. It was still a fight, but it should have been a comfortable win for him. But now he gets a tougher test, although it's on short notice. So how does that change things? That's kind of what we're going to look at here. This is going to be one of the trickier ones to pick on the card because of our limited knowledge on how that short notice nature is going to affect Gage Young. Now, when we look at Gage Young skill for skill, he's a good striker. He's got good kicks. I like the front kick from him, and I like his leg kick. He uses those both really well. He likes to use his jab as a good range finder, and he's got decent power. He's more of a wrestler. Good might be exaggerating in the striking. He's pretty good in the striking, but he's definitely more of a wrestler. He's a very solid wrestler, good takedowns, solid entries, and he will chain those takedowns together. He's got good top pressure. The ground and pound is there, and he's hard to take down because his takedown defense is pretty solid. So all in all, I think he's going to have the more successful wrestling in this fight, will Gage Young. But I think in the striking, he's going to go against Evan Elder, who's a pretty good striker, especially at range. At complete distance, he uses his range well. He has really good kicks. The body kick in general is going to be his go-to, and it's probably one of his better moves. He can put together combinations. I think at striking range, this is going to favor Evan Elder at a pretty decent clip, I'd say. He also has good wrestling. It's not as polished as Gage Young, I would say, but he's got good takedowns, good top control. Where I think that Young gets the advantage in the wrestling is Elder's takedown defense is just so-so. However, Elder's got really solid cardio, and that's something that's going to help him in a fight where his opponent's taking it on short notice, so that makes it tricky. So when I look at this, I have to side with Elder in this one because, A, short notice, going to have the better cardio. UFC jitters are tough, especially in front of a big crowd, although it is Kansas City, which Gage Young is very familiar with that area. He lives in that Kansas City area, if I'm not mistaken. I know he fights a lot on the Missouri regional scene, and if you don't know, Kansas City is in Missouri, not Kansas. It's weird how that works. It's in Kansas as well, but you know what I mean. They're on the Missouri side, okay? So either way, for Gage Young, this is kind of a local event for him, but that can also be a problem. There's a lot of stuff to unpack here. I'm staying far away from this one for the simple fact that there is way too many variables for me to want to mess with, but I'm going to take Evan Elder for the sake of a pick. I make picks in this video. Not every pick is a bet. They are different things, and if you can't understand that, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you can't understand that. That's your problem, and you can be upset about it all you want, but we're taking Evan Elder. I'll see you guys in the next fight. Really odd flyweight matchup here. Matt Schnell, who's 1-4 in his last 5. He's coming back out of retirement to take on Jimmy Flick, who also at one point came back out of retirement, who is now 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Now, this is an odd matchup. Very odd, right? Okay, let's start on the Jimmy Flick side. The guy is a decent striker, and everybody gave me a bunch of crap for this last time I said he's a decent striker. He's pretty much not a striker at all, but he does have pretty decent kicks at range, and I don't care what anybody says. His kicks at distant striking range are pretty good. That's about it. Durability's not there. He doesn't really throw much with the hands, at least not anything successful. But his kicks at range are pretty good. So that bumped him up to decent for me, all right? Decent doesn't mean you're a world beater. It just, he's got something in the tool bag, and that's the kicks. He's one of the better jiu-jitsu practitioners in the UFC at the flyweight division, I would say. Dude's jiu-jitsu is lights out, right? Solid, super large toolbox. He's very quick to attack submissions. He's got a submission option from pretty much everywhere you could get to on the mat, probably even standing, to be honest. He'll chain his submission attempts together. He's got a lights out arm triangle. That's one of his best moves. He can get the fight to the mat on his own too, which is impressive because a lot of the jiu-jitsu guys can't do that. He does have decent takedowns. They're not great, but they're decent. And he can transition from position to position extremely well. On the mat, I know both of these guys can grapple. Jimmy Flick is a different level of grappler as far as his pure jiu-jitsu goes to most fighters in the UFC at this level. So, I'm not talking like champions and stuff here. We're not, okay? Don't twist my words just to piss me off, all right? I know you're thinking it. Anyway, Matt Schnell, he's a good striker. Offensively, anyway. Good combos, good counter striking, good volume, but the dude can't take a punch at all anymore. I mean, when he retired, Chris Tioni comes over there and talks to him, and you hear Tioni say some pretty wild stuff to him, and you're like, dude, what in the world? But I get it. Like, Schnell he's just getting knocked out left and right, and he just doesn't seem to have the durability anymore. Probably why he retired. Now he's back, though. So, I mean, I guess if you're coming back and your durability is your concern, this is probably the matchup for you, I guess. But still, he's got solid jiu-jitsu in his own right. I don't think it's quite the level of Jimmy Flick, but he has really good scrambles, very opportunistic submissions. He's active from his back. But the problem for Schnell is getting the fight to the mat on his own terms is tough. Doesn't have the best open mat takedowns, and his takedown defense can suffer. When I looked at this fight, I thought, wow, this is probably going to be a pick'em fight because neither of these guys you can really put a lot of confidence in either of them, right? No. Schnell's a massive favorite. And for that alone, I have to go Jimmy Flick. I think if he gets this fight to the mat, which he very well could do, I think he's got a pretty good advantage. Also, neither guy's super durable. One of those kicks at range lands, and that's it, right? I mean, I don't think it kicks her. If he knocks out Matt Schnell, I will be surprised. I think if Jimmy Flick wins, it's because he gets the fight to the mat. But I got to go Jimmy Flick. I don't usually say dog or pass. This is one of the few times I'm going to say dog or pass. So we're taking Jimmy Flick here. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in the next fight on the card that we've had scheduled before, and here we are again. We have Ikram Aliskerov taking on Andre Muniz in the 185-pound division. Aliskerov 4-1 in the last 5. That lost to Robert Whittaker. That he did take on short notice. Was kind of a wild situation where he was scheduled to fight the week prior, already cut weight, did all that stuff, then had to fly across the world to fight Robert Whittaker on really short notice and then make weight. You know, I'm not making excuses for the guy, but I understand the circumstances, what I'm saying. For Andre Muniz, 3-2 in his last 5. Looked really good early on. Had, some people find out kind of the game plan and kind of figure out how to stop it. And then, had a few bumps in the road. But this is a good matchup as far as how they compare stylistically because they're both grapplers primarily, right? Muniz, solid grappler with a large toolbox, really good submission arsenal. He's got good takedowns for a jiu-jitsu guy because jiu-jitsu guys usually don't have good takedowns. He's got pretty good takedowns. He's got good control when he gets to fight there. If he gets to fight to the mat on his terms, he's got a good shot here. Striking, basically, it's just good enough because of the grappling threat. People don't want to end up on the mat with this guy, so they'll open up the hands, and he does have decent power there. Otherwise, the striking is not that great. But on the other side, Ikram Aliskerov. This guy, solid grappler as well. Really good takedowns, super solid top pressure. He's got good ground and pound, really good takedown defense, and he's got that solid Kimura. We don't really see Kimuras a ton at the UFC level, although there was a card this year where we had 2 back-to-back. That's kind of weird, but usually you don't see Kimuras at the highest levels because they're hard to finish, right? You see them for sweeps, you don't see them for finishes. Good striker on the feet, forward pressure, long straight punches. He can counter-strike well. He's got good kicks and knees. Honestly, this fight comes down to this. Both guys are solid on the ground. Whoever gets the fight to the ground on their terms is going to have success on the ground. But on the feet, Ikram's the much better fighter. I've got to go with Ikram here. Ikram Aliskerov is the pick. I think he wins this fight at a high clip. I think he stops the takedowns and keeps it on the feet if he wants to, and I think that's where he's going to win. Let me know what you guys think. 70-pounders here. We got Randy Brown taking on Nicolas Dalby. Dalby 4-1 in the last 5, 3-2 for Randy Brown. Now, this is a close fight on paper. It's a close fight on the line. I think this is a close fight. I guess the line's actually growing quite a bit, but I do think this is a close fight. Let's look at this one here. Nicolas Dalby, he's a good striker. He's going to come forward. He's going to throw kicks when he's at range. When he gets in close, he's just putting volume out there, and he's tough as heck. That is what Dalby does. When he gets to you, he'll push up against the cage. He's a good wrestler there. He can mix in the takedowns and does a good job, but it's pace and cardio that wins Nicolas Dalby fights. Comes forward, throws kicks at range, gets in close. He's throwing punches on the way in, gets you up against the cage, and works you over. That's how he wins fights, and he's very good at doing that. On the other side, Randy Brown, he wants to keep this at distance striking because distance striking The dude's got super good ability to use that range, control it with the length that he has. He puts together good combos. His front kick is solid. He's got good kicks in general, but that front kick, solid. If you can use that to intercept Nicolas Dalby as he's coming down the middle, that is something that's going to keep that range for him. This is going to be a key to his win in this fight. If Randy Brown wants to win, he's going to have to keep Dalby back, and using that front kick down the middle is one thing that's really good at slowing people's forward pressure. So that's what he's going to have to do. He does have a lean back defense as guys are coming at him. That could be a problem. I don't think Dalby's knocking him out, so I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I think Dalby's going to use that pressure to push Brown up against the cage and try to win minutes there. But it is something he could get hit on the chin a little bit there. Good jiu-jitsu for Randy Brown. Uses his length really well. He does have those choking arms, but he's really more of a striker. I think this fight is going to be very close, and I think it's one of those things where Dalby's going to have a lot of minutes up against the cage, and at distance striking range, Brown's going to look good. Dalby's a decent-sized underdog now, and I got to take the guy, right? I'm going to have to go Nicolas Dalby here to push up against the cage and get the win using his dirty boxing. He's probably winning the third round at a high clip just for the fact that the dude never slows down. So I got to take him. We're taking Dalby. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you next. We have Michel Perreira taking on Abus Magomedov. Now, Magomedov is 3-2 in his last 5 fights, 4-1 for Perreira. And this is interesting because all I've been hearing from everybody all week is how bad Abus Magomedov's cardio is, and not a lot of people saying that Michel Pereira's cardio is not the best either. So I don't really know where that thinking has come from. I think neither of these guys is really excelling in the cardio department. So I don't think that that's a real point of contention for either guy. So that's strange to me. But I think this is an interesting fight because both guys are similarly skilled as far as levels go. When we look at this, for Abus Magomedov, I think he's a solid striker. I think he has nasty kicks. He can mix them up to all levels. They're just brutal, right? The guy puts a ton of power in his kicks. He comes in with that blitzing style, plenty of power, and he can fight out of either stance. I like a lot of the striking here, especially early on, because as the fight goes, yes, he does get tired. Both of these guys get tired. It's wild that people are acting as if it's only Magomedov that gets tired. He has good wrestling. It wasn't his go-to until fairly recently where he started to have to mix it in a little bit more. He's got good takedowns and decent top control. He doesn't really do a ton from top control, but he can win minutes, right? On the other side, we have Michel Perreira, who's a bit of an unorthodox striker. He's a good striker, but he's unorthodox. He has good movement, plenty of power. He's super explosive. Things like flying knees are going to be a big part of his arsenal. I understand he's toned it down a little bit, but still, the guy is still using a lot of his big explosive movements, which is part of why he gasses out. He works the body well, both with punches and kicks. You like to see that. Good jiu-jitsu as well. He's got decent takedowns, but he has good sweeps from the bottom. Realistically, this is a very close fight. Really close fight. I think both guys are going to get tired as this fight goes on. So I think there's that. And I tend to lean that it starts to go late because I think both guys are going to have moments where you're like, oh man, he's almost got him here. And then they're going to get tired and then it's going to go over. At least that's what I'm seeing. Maybe not. I could be wrong. I'm not going to bet that. So take that for what you will. For me, I like the Magomedov side. I think I'm the only person on Magomedov this week, but I think that this is a really close fight, and he's the underdog, and I do think skill for skill in the striking, he's just a teeny bit better, and I do think that he's going to be able to get the takedowns in this one as opposed to the other way around. So we're going to take Abus Magomedov. I think both guys are going to get tired. I think both guys are going to be exhausted, and I think it's going to be sloppy, but Abus is going to get the win. At least that's how I see it. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you in the next. Giga Chikadze takes on hometown favorite David Onama in the 155-pound division. Onama, he's fighting out of Kansas City area, so this is a essentially hometown fight for him. 4-1 in the last 5 for Onama, 3-2 in the last 5 for Chikadze. Interesting fight. We got Onama, who's a pretty good striker. He's got good combos. The power's there. I like the way he works his jab. Good wrestling as well. Guy can mix in takedowns. Really heavy ground and pound, but his takedown defense has been lacking in the past. I don't think that's an issue for him at all here because Chikadze is just not going to shoot a takedown. If you notice by the fact that I don't even have a grappling thing here, he pretty much wants to strike. If there's grappling coming from anybody, it's David Onama, and he's going to have success with it. Now, Chikadze is a very solid striker. If he keeps this at distant striking range, Onama's having a rough night because Chikadze has excellent kicks. He can kick to all levels. And the Giga kick, it's a liver kick, does a gosh darn good job of shutting somebody down. Because if you've ever been hit in the liver, you know it's involuntary. You just kind of end up in the fetal position. It's just what happens. So, yeah, that's a real possibility. Good counter striking. You fight out of either stance. He feints pretty well, but he doesn't handle pressure well. And I think a guy like Onama is going to come in and pressure him. And I think that's what he's going to do. And I think that's why he's the favorite here. I think David Onama is the side. Hometown or home area, I guess. Good ability to get the fight to the mat. And if he gets on top, he can cause some serious damage. I think he's going to be able to do that. I do think there's going to be some serious scares because a guy like Chikadze at distance is going to be a problem. But if Onama can put the pressure on him, get him close, get in close, even work in the clinch. Onama's got a good clinch as well. Something I didn't write up here. I think this is an Onama spot. I'm taking David Onama to get the win on this one, but let me know what you guys think. I do understand the path for Chikadze, so I wouldn't be too opposed to an argument there. But let me know, and I'll see you in the next matchup. In the 205-pound division, Anthony Smith takes on Zhang Mingyang, or Mingyang Zhang, depending on how you say that. 5-0 in the last 5 for Zhang, 2-3 in the last 5 for Smith. It's tricky. Zhang Mingyang is a very fast starter. He wins pretty much every fight in the first round. If he doesn't win in the first round, well, that's where some of these losses start to come in, right? Good striker, real good blitz, tons of power. Decent grappling in the sense that when he cracks somebody and follows them to the mat, he can get on top and use his ground and pound really well, and he'll get the rear naked choke finish often because he's raining down shots and people give up their back and he can choke them out there. But we haven't really seen him offensively grapple or even at the defensively grapple at the UFC level. So that's interesting. So I do... The problem is we don't know a ton about Zhang Mingyang. I understand he's got tons of power. The guy can knock somebody out in the first round, no problem. I don't feel great about him being a massive favorite. Although, on the Anthony Smith side, it is his retirement fight. Fighters retiring don't typically win. That's a thing. So I do understand that side of it. For Anthony Smith, skill for skill, you have a much better idea of where he's at. Moving forward, he's a good striker. Moving backwards, he's not a good striker. If he's coming forward, Anthony Smith has some good striking. But when he's moving backwards, this guy just gets up against the cage, covers up, and starts throwing front kicks off. We don't want to see that from an Anthony Smith. You want to see the guy coming forward, landing shots, and trying to crack people. And then as he gets into the pocket or as his opponent crashes in to try and stop the momentum, slamming big elbows. That's what he does. That's what he does really well. Good snapping front kick offensively, not the one where he's leaning against the cage. Durable, leg kick defense is abysmal, but he can usually take a beating before going out. It's not like Anthony Smith is going out there and getting starched by everybody. Roundtree got him pretty good, but most of the time, this dude is eating a ton of shots and just keeps going. I can see a world where Zhang Mingyang starts fast, lands a big shot with a big blitz, starts landing ground and pound, and just doesn't get Smith out of there, and then death gasses. I could definitely see that. I'm not saying he has bad cardio necessarily, but we've seen people do that a lot against many different fighters, So, yeah, as a massive favorite, that's something to look out for. If Smith can get this fight to the mat, I do think he's got a pretty significant grappling advantage. It's good submission arsenal, good ground and pound, but he's content to work off his back, and his offensive takedowns just haven't really materialized much in the UFC. So there's that. It's a tricky one. Also, I'm biased as heck. Anthony Smith lives right down the street from me. I like the guy. I think he's a nice dude. I think he's a cool dude. I like him as a person for the Omaha community where I'm from. If you didn't notice, whatever. He seems like a good guy, right? I'm a little biased. I also think that this line is atrocious. It's a monstrosity. Stay away if you're... Look, I'm going to make a dumb pick here as far as picking a retiring fighter to win over a guy who is 5-0 in his last 5 fights. I'm going to take Anthony Smith to get that upset. You guys all said that he wouldn't do it against Petrino, and he did. And I picked him there. Everybody said I was stupid. But I also picked him against some other people that I shouldn't have picked him against. I just picked Anthony Smith. I'm glad that this is the last time I'm going to have to pick Anthony Smith regardless of who he's fighting. So ignore the breakdown, or ignore the result. Look at just the breakdown. I'm taking Anthony Smith. You do with the information what you will. Don't follow everything I say, but this stuff might be good information. The check mark is for entertainment. I'll see you guys. Event, folks. And if you're still watching, thank you for sticking around. Also, if you are still watching, I assume you're enjoying your time. So please do me a favor, hit the like button. It goes a long way. Maybe share this video with your friends. I appreciate it. Let's break down the main event between Ian Machado Garry and Carlos Prates. Yes, I didn't write out Machado in there. We're working with markers here on a marker board. We're cutting time. All right. Ian Garry, he's 4-1 in his last 5, 5-0 in the last 5 for Prates. Now, this is a slightly short notice matchup for Garry, so there is something to take in mind there, but he's also taken other short notice matchups in the past and looked pretty good in them. So there is that. For Prates, solid striker. I think this dude's striking is very deadly. I tried to fade this guy earlier on. You know, that was stupid. It was really stupid. I've learned my lesson. The dude's striking is very good. He's got a ton of power. He's got really long, straight punches. His kicks to all levels, absolutely deadly. The roundhouse kick to the legs, to the head, front kicks to the body, does a great job. He picks his shots really well. He can have a little bit low volume at times when he's trying to pick his shots, and he does keep his hands kind of low. It hasn't really come back to bite him, although he can be losing until he's not, at least earlier on in his UFC run. That was a thing. But he's got pretty good takedown defense, and he makes guys pay for everything. If they fail something, he makes them pay. So Carlos Prates is absolutely deadly on the feet. When we look at Ian Garry, he's a solid striker as well. He's very accurate in his strikes. He's got good combinations, good volume. He's going to have the more output in this fight. He has strikes to all levels, but here's the problem. He will leave his chin up in the air, just wide open to hit when he's backing out. So after he goes in there, lands a combo, he does what he wants to do, then he wants to get out, chin's up there. It's exposed. He's durable and he recovers really fast. I don't think that matters against a guy like Prates. If he connects, this dude could just put you into another dimension. So that's something to take note of. I mean, the dude knocked out Li Jingliang, who is super durable, at least was. So I mean, you gotta assume that this could come back to bite Garry. However, he does have a grappling advantage. He can get the cage push going. He can mix in the takedowns really well. If he gets to your back, he's got good control. I understand the grappling advantage should be on the Garry side. I understand the volume advantage should be on the Garry side. I just think over 5 rounds, it's hard to say Prates isn't landing on this dude, and it's so hard to count this guy out, even though I wanted to at the beginning, because I'm like, dude's out there smoking cigarettes, the dude's out there just like throwing low volume. Like I wanted to count the guy out so bad, and I was way off. Dude is just putting guys down. He's a sniper on the feet. Yeah, I'm going to stay away. I'm just going to watch this one. I'm going to crack open a nice cold root beer. I'm going to enjoy this one. But I will make a pick for you guys. And because of that, I'm going to take Prates. He is a slight underdog last I saw. Might as well go with the dog money. I'm not going to bet it, but we're going to take Prates here. Wow, this is a hard one to pick. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I do appreciate it very much. You guys tuning in every single week, and it means the world to me. So I will catch you all down the road.